Hey everyone, welcome back to Bytesector. Last week we took a look at reorganizing our server rack. This week we're going to add a new file server to the mix. We went out and bought a whole bunch of gear, we got some hard drives from Western Digital, and it's all sitting right here, all that matters. Today we're going to assemble it, configure it, and get it up and running and ready to use. Join us. You'll notice that I said we're adding a file server. Typically, what you do is you go out and you'd buy either a new file server or just additional storage to add to your existing file server. We didn't want to add storage to the existing file server because it's running with 12 drives out of 12 drive bays, so there's really nowhere to go unless we replace all of the drives, and that requires backing up 24 terabytes of data. So, what are we running here? Well, we're going to be adding 4 10 terabyte Western Digital Red Pro hard drives. We selected these drives primarily because they come with 5-year warranties, they spin at 7,200 RPM, they've got 2 years of included data recovery services in case one of them happens to die. They're just a smart choice for us. You'll notice I mentioned 7,200 RPM. We're running only 4 drives. We need as much spindle speed as possible to increase our reads and writes. So that's another driver. That's a huge advantage in performance over the Western Digital Red drives. Among the other components we have here, we have a dual port 10 gigabit network card from Intel. You can see one of the 2 heatsinks is actively cooled. We've got a USB drive, which is going to go into the server. It's going to contain our operating system. And we went out and bought a caching device, specifically an SSD. This is an Intel PCI Express NVMe SSD. It's the Intel 750 series. It's a 400 gig SSD. Without further ado, I think what we're going to do is get all these components into the server and go through system setup after we rack it up. So first things first, let's get rid of all of these drives here and put it all off to the side. We don't need this stuff sitting on the edge of the table any longer. So we're going to pop this open and bring you in for a closer look. This is the inside of the server. It's a Dell PowerEdge R520. So it's a couple generations old, but it's going to do just perfectly for our purposes. This is a shroud. Underneath here, we're going to find our 2 CPU heatsinks and our banks of memory. What we're running here are dual Intel Xeon E5 2430 V2s, I believe, along with 144 gigs of memory, which is going to be awesome. It's overkill probably for something like Unraid, but if we were to choose FreeNAS, which is based on ZFS as a file system, the more memory the better. So this gives us some flexibility to move forward. You'll notice, well, you probably can't see this, there's no RAID card. We're running right on SATA right now. A planned upgrade for this server in the future is going to be to dump in an HBA or a host bus adapter so that we can use all 8 bays of drives on the front. Right now we only have 4 drives. We don't care if we're just using the single internal SATA. It's using a mini SAS connector to the backplane, which is totally fine. We're still gonna just get SATA speeds. On this side of the riser, we've got an internal USB port, which is where we're going to stick our USB drive here. And then we've got some PCI Express slots here. We've got 3 full heights on this side and 1 half height on that side. So, without further ado, we're going to get things mounted. Okay, so now that we've got our SSD and our 10 gig network card, we're just going to stick the shroud back over here. We don't need it off, so that's a pretty easy drop in there. And that's pretty much it for the internals here. I'm going to stick the USB drive in. I've prepped it already. Other things to note, this specific R520 came with 750 watt dual redundant power supplies. They're rated at 80 plus platinum, so they're pretty good for home use, especially since I care about my power consumption. So we'll get this covered back up. Nice thing about these covers is they fit on pretty easily. You close the latch, it's snug and fit. So last but not least, we got to stick our drives in the front of this chassis. So just turning it towards you there, you can see we've got 8 empty bays. I've got 4 blanks that I'm going to put in on this side, but for now, we're just going to slot these drives in here. They are not obviously sitting in labeled chassis that or trays that list the 10 terabyte capacity, but I don't care. Labels are just labels. So they slide in pretty easily, smoothly. Dell does a good job with their build quality. There we go. This puppy's ready to rack up, power on, and run through initial setup. So we booted into Unraid. We're just gonna log in here. The default username is root. There is no default password. We're gonna have to set one to make sure that our install is secure. We've just installed a trial to begin with. We just wanna test out the system, see how it performs, see if it's what we're gonna move forward with before we go and buy a registration key. So you can register for a 30-day trial. I believe you can extend that trial another 30 days. So over on the dashboard here, you can see it's kind of self-identified itself as a media server. You can change that description. It's just purely a description. It's been up for 4 minutes. We're running a Dell system. You can see the CPU usage in real time almost. So we've got 6 marked as healthy, 1 is not healthy SDB. SDB is actually a RAID 1 array of 2 8 gig SD cards. That's something Dell does. If Unraid supported it, I would have installed Unraid to those SD cards and not wasted a USB drive, but c'est la vie. So I haven't removed them from the system. They're sitting there. We don't care about them. So we've got our NVMe Intel 400 gig PCI Express storage, and then our 5 Western Digital Red Pro 10 terabyte drives. So it's loaded up. I've got my IP address settings are obviously correct. So I guess from here, that's a little better a view than the console itself, is that we should go ahead and create our array. So that's the biggest thing. It's going to take the longest time since it's got to do a format of all the drives. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 10 terabyte drives, 1 400 gig NVMe. So I guess we'll just start assigning. So there's our array. And then we want our cache device, Intel. You know, that is surprisingly easy. Once you've selected all your drives, you have to actually start the array. There's a convenient little start button at the bottom here. You can only start it once you've installed a valid license or a trial license. The other caveat is that the box must be able to go online. If it doesn't have internet access, it can't validate the trial license, or even if you've bought a registration key, and it won't allow you to start the array until it can. We're obviously not going to check parity is already valid because there is no parity data. It's a brand new array. We're not going to mess with this. So let's hit start. Are you sure parity disks will be overwritten? Proceed. Okay, waiting for it to load, waiting for it to load. Oh, perfect. It says in the bottom here, array started. It's doing a parity sync and data rebuild. It's at 0%. So you'll notice it says unmountable, unsupported partition layout for the 3 drives that are our primary partitions, or primary drives for the array. We're gonna come down here. It says unmountable disks present, including the cache. Do we want to format? So we're going to check off, yes, I want to do this, and hit format, because there's nothing on those drives anyways. I have nothing to lose. So, warning, parity drive, or parity 2, drive not ready, content being reconstructed. Yep, okay. And now we've got a formatting message for our 3 primary drives. That's awesome. Okay, so if we come back to our dashboard here, parity 1 and 2, they're emulated right now. Disks 1, 2, and 3 are active. So now this, I have been warned, will take a very, very long time. So we're gonna go away and come back when this is all done. Thanks for watching today's video. If you didn't like it, you know what to do. Give us a thumbs down. Leave us a comment below letting us know what we can improve for next time. But if you did like it, give us a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell beside it so that you get notified the next time we post a video. Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Have a great day, and we'll see you all next time.